Hello, welcome back to John chapter 12. In this chapter, it is 6 days before Passover, and we see Jesus eating at Mary and Martha and Lazarus' house. How sweet of Martha to make this great meal and invite all the huge, large crowd over. And Mary sacrificing so much at Jesus' feet. Her alabaster oil, she pours it out and wipes his feet with her hair. And then we also see, contrastly to their service and loving Jesus and serving him, we see Judas get mad at her because he's greedy and he's selfish and he's actually stealing from Jesus. So he criticizes her for the sacrifice that she's making, and Jesus praises her in front of people. And then we see him go into Jerusalem and prophecy be fulfilled with people waving their palm branches at him and shouting the very things that were prophesied about him that would be said by them. And then we see the chief priests get so jealous that they plot, that they really start working on this plan to kill him and to kill Lazarus. And Jesus said it's his time, his soul is troubled, and he is encouraged by the Father. So that is what we see in John chapter 12. Some things that stood out to me about God's character is that he stays focused on the mission, not by he wasn't distracted by his friend betraying him or the praise and adoration of other people, the palm branches or the great sacrifices made. He was focused on the mission. Nothing distracted him, even his emotions of being troubled. Another thing is that he spends time with people. He receives imperfect people's sacrifices. Everyone around him was imperfect, and yet some of them were making sacrifices, and he received their sacrifices, Mary's sacrifice. He knows just what to say, and he's not changed by people's praise. So those are some things that stood out to me about God's character. Some principles that we can derive from that that stood out is jealousy is at the heart of murder. All right, jealousy will never lead to the glory of God. Okay, number 2, criticism doesn't come from wanting God to be glorified, but from selfish ambition. So criticism, criticizing others, the way that Judas criticized Mary, was only from selfish ambition. It wasn't from wanting God to be glorified. And number 3 is people are quick to set people on pedestals, but just as quick to tear them down. So we will see that. Here they are like praising Jesus, these same people that are going to be yelling, crucify him. So for my personal application is the A's, to be careful that I'm not looking for my approval from the A's. So those being adoration, admiration, approval, and acceptance. Not looking for those in people, but looking for those in God, because we are fully adored and approved and accepted by God if we are his daughters. People's praise and adoration is not worth living for because it is so flaky. So that's what stood out to me. I'd love to hear what stood out to you in this chapter. What do you see about God's heart and character? And how can you apply it practically to your life?